Global Times, 4th of July 2023, China and a weak Honduras begin FTA negotiations, setting a positive model for collaboration with other Latin American nations. Just 3 months after the two nations established diplomatic ties in March and less than 1 month after the Honduran president paid a historic visit to China, China and Honduras on Tuesday officially began the negotiations on a bilateral free trade agreement, FTA, demonstrating the growing practical cooperation between the two nations. Chinese Minister of Commerce Wang Wentao and Honduran Minister of Economic Development Fredis Cerrato jointly announced the opening of China-Honduras FTA negotiations, which is beneficial to deepening practical cooperation in economic and trade fields between the two nations, providing impetus for further improving the quality and level of bilateral trade and strengthening investment and cooperation in various areas. Launching FTA talks, according to China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is an important common understanding reached between the two heads of state during Honduran President Xiomara Castro's visit to China, and it fully demonstrates the two sides' willingness to deepen practical cooperation. At the first China-Honduras High-Level Entrepreneur Exchange Conference in June, Melvin Redondo, the Deputy Minister of Economic Development of Honduras, expressed optimism that the FTA negotiations may be finished within a year. On June 12, the two nations inked a cooperation agreement to work together to establish the Belt and Road Initiative, which China proposed before the FTA negotiations. Analysts say China's connections with Latin American nations have never moved so quickly. According to Wu Hongying, director of the Institute of Regional and International Studies at Hubei University, promoting practical cooperation between China and Honduras will serve as a model and advance the FTA negotiation process between China and other Latin American nations. According to Wu, China has already inked free trade agreements, FTAs, with Chile, Peru, Costa Rica, and Ecuador, with more to follow. The Honduran economy heavily depends on agricultural exports like coffee and bananas, so she pointed out that stepping up economic and commercial cooperation with China can help the country's struggling economy. The General Administration of Customs of China, GAC, published notices announcing that Honduran white-leg shrimp, fresh bananas, and unroasted coffee beans were permitted to enter the Chinese market in the middle of June. From January through May of 2023, bilateral commerce between China and Honduras totaled $740.7 million, an increase of 14.9% from the previous year. According to data from GAC, China imported goods worth $39.9 million from Honduras, a 193.9% increase from the last year. China's trade with Honduras and other nations in Latin America is quite complementary. According to Zhou Jiwei, a specialist in Latin American studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, Honduras primarily exports agricultural and mineral products, which are also the main trade goods between China and Latin American nations and are in high demand in China, according to the Global Times on Tuesday. According to Zhou, there is a clear trend toward more economic and commercial collaboration between China and Latin America. According to Shiezuki, a representative from the Association of Fujian in Honduras, economic and trade exchanges between the two nations will grow more and more convenient for Chinese business people, making it easier for them to explore the marketplaces of both countries. According to Xie, the beginning of the FTA talks will motivate Chinese business people to boost domestic investment and broaden their collaboration in trade, energy, mining, civil infrastructure, logistics, internet innovation, and e-commerce.